Hi guys, welcome to this second video where we're going to have a look at the use of spreadsheet formulas. In particular, in this video, we'll have a look at using the sum formula, which is maybe pretty obvious to you. That's going to be used for adding up things. And the other thing we're going to do is to have a look at using a simple addition formula as well, which is slightly different from using sum. And if we get time, we may get into using division and multiplication formulas. Now, as you can see from this right hand part of my screen, this is the section of your workbook starting on page 25. So here we've got the F and G books and CDs spreadsheet on the left hand side of my screen here. Now what we're going to do right from the start is we're going to save that as, I'm just going to go to the same folder, I'm going to save that as exercise 4 so we don't lose exercise 3 if we need to go back to it. Okay, now what we're going to do for a start here is we're going to put in cell F6 a formula which is going to add up these 4 cells here. And one of the advantages of spreadsheets is it can do that sort of simple arithmetic and more complicated stuff if you get into it automatically just by using a formula. So the way that we're going to do that is we're going to use what's called a sum formula. Now I'm just going to make this full screen so we can see the full toolbar across the top here. Now one way of putting the correct formula in here is to actually type it in yourself. So I'm going to click in the formula bar here. Remember, formulas always in Excel start with an equal sign. And the formula we can put in is sum. Now if you're going to use a formula like sum, you need to say which cells are going to be added up. So I've typed in equal sum and notice that Excel's prompting us with possible formulas that start with sum. These other ones here are more complicated, we won't be using those this year. So equal sum, and then what we need to do is we need to say what cells are we adding up. Now remember, cells are these rectangular boxes here, and so what we do is we put a bracket, a left hand round bracket, and then we can either highlight or type in the cells we want to add up. So we're going to start with F6, sorry not F6, B6, okay, and that cell's highlighted, and then we put the colon symbol. So have a careful look at that one. That's the one with the 2 dots, one above the other, and it's to the right of the letter L, but it's the top symbol on that key, so you need to use the shift key to get it. So I'll just delete it again. Okay, hold down shift and type that key that's got the colon and underneath it what's called a semicolon, and then I'm going to type in the last cell in the of the cells that I want to add together. So that's C6, D6, and now F6 is the, sorry not F6, E6 was the last one that I want to add. So notice that that whole region has been highlighted in blue there. Close it off with a rounded bracket and press enter once, and if you look carefully you'll see that here's that formula. If I click back in F6, and here is the sum of these things here. Now your book recommends using a calculator to add those things together just to check that that's the right number. We can also do this if I highlight those 4 cells here and go down to this part of the screen down here. Hopefully you can see my cursor revolving around this region here, and it's got average, count, and sum. Okay, and if you look at that sum there, you'll see it's the same as that one. So that looks to me like it's the correct answer. Now that's one way of getting that formula in there. Okay, we once again could type it in. Now there is a quicker way, and one slight shortcut is to type equals sum. Again, that's not the shortcut part obviously, and you can highlight the region that you want to put after the open bracket. So notice that if I hold down the left hand mouse key having clicked in B6 and drag across to the right there, okay, notice you can make any sort of rectangular region you like. If I want to add those 4 together, B6 to E6 again, okay, then I can simply press enter. the actual bracket will be put in automatically, and we've got the same sum there again. And so a shortcut is to type equals sum bracket and then highlight the region you want to add together. Now the last thing I can do, which is the quickest of them all, is to use this part of the toolbar over here. Okay, and notice it's got this rather strange looking symbol. This is actually a sigma symbol from the Greek alphabet, and is used in maths to mean add together. Now if you drop that down arrow next to it, you notice that you can actually use it for other functions besides sum, but by default it is actually a sum key. So if I were to click in that cell there and then click auto sum, just click on that, notice it highlights the region that it thinks you want to add together. Now that can be adjusted. You can actually put your mouse pointer right in that bottom right hand corner, and you can actually adjust that region if you wanted to, but I just want to leave it as it was. And if you're happy with that, you press enter. So again, let me just delete it, click back there, click on auto sum, okay, and press enter. And that's the quickest way of getting that sum formula in there. Having got that in there, we can then use the fill handle, which is that bottom right hand corner, that little square, and you can drag that down using relative referencing, which automatically, when you fill that formula down starting at F6, notice that the next one down automatically is changed to B7 to E7, and you can click in that formula there and it will highlight the region that's in this case being summed, and that's absolutely right. So that's another good use of that fill handle and relative referencing, where the numbers, or the letters, the cell range really, which is the proper term for it, is automatically changing. Okay, so having done that, okay, another place I can do a very similar thing here is in B10. I can click on auto sum again. Notice that it automatically thinks that you want to add those numbers above it, and that's correct, we do. So I'm going to press enter. Now I'm going to fill across to the right here. Okay, there we go. Okay, and you can check that formulas again. Click in there. Yeah, that's right, I wanted to add the numbers for February together for books. Okay, if you are finished looking at the formula, you can either click away or you can actually press escape on your keyboard to just get that back to the normal view. Okay, and then what you need to do is you need to fill in the formulas for here and here, so I'm quickly going to do that. And actually what we're asked to do in the workbook, if I remember rightly, was actually fill all the way across to H10 and also to H16. So let me go back to this one. Some will have no things in it, so there'll be zeros at the moment, but that's okay. Okay, auto sum again, press enter, and I'm going to fill that right across to H16. Okay, and some things will be going in these regions later. Now for the total sales, we're going to make use of a simple addition formula which uses the plus sign. Now what I want to do for total sales, I want to take the total books and add it to the total CDs. Now auto sum isn't such a good choice there for a start. It doesn't actually know what region you really want to add together because of that gap there, and you could try and do something like that, but you're getting all these cells in between, so that's not going to be such a good option here. Instead we're going to type in manually equals, click in the first cell and then put a plus sign, which is shift and the equal sign, which is right to the left of backspace, or you could use the plus sign on your keypad and the numeric keypad on the right hand side of your keyboard, and then click on cell B16. So just check that formula, B10 is going to be added to B16, that's right, so press enter. And we're going to fill that right across to the H18 cell. Okay, so if I go back to the workbook here and just check that, okay, yes, I think we've done everything that has been mentioned there all the way across here. By the way, if you at any stage are working with a formula and you realize, hey, this actually was wrong, okay, and let's say we had accidentally, let's go down to this one down here, which, sorry, this one, and it says F13 to F15, and let's say for some bizarre reason we'd actually captured a couple of extra cells that were wrong, and so when you checked you thought, hold on, that doesn't look right. Okay, now I can either retype the formula or I can click inside that cell range and then use these little handles on the end here to actually drag the region that should have been summed together to the right region. So you can actually, drag those regions there. Okay, all four corners can be actually dragged. I have to be a little bit careful with that bottom one. No, that's not going to let me. Definitely the top two can be dragged. Here we go. Alright, okay, so going back to here, go to the workbook. Yeah, we've done that. We've done the addition formula. Right, I think that'll do for now. We'll move in the next video to have a look at division and multiplication formulas.